Okay.
We're going live in 3, 2, 1, and go.
Hi, guys. Jerry coming to you from the Rythmia Life Advancement Center in Guanacaste, Costa Rica. And we've been having rain for the first time. It's raining for the last 15 days here. So we're constantly seeing rain. But it's still beautiful and lush and green. It's a jungle. What is Rythmia? Rythmia is a life advancement center that uses ayahuasca, metaphysical teachings, breath work, meditation, yoga, farm-to-table organic food, the cleanse, to bring about this change that we call a soul merger or a soul reclamation. How do we know this happens? Well, we've had over 17,000 guests through the door, over 2,500 five-star reviews on TripAdvisor. 98.85% of the people who've gone through the doors, that's 988 out of every 1,000 people, say they had a life-changing miracle during their stay, which is usually a soul merger or a soul reclamation. The best part of it, at the 6-month mark, these people are given another survey. 90.22% say that this was the week that changed their whole life, changed their life. So what kind of people come to Rythmia? Well, I want to give you an idea of our board of directors. They've all been here, and because they've been here and had this amazing experience, they joined our board. Who's on our board? Kelly Slater, the greatest surfer of all time. Ron White, the comedian. Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer. Martin Luther King's son, Martin. Michael Bernard Beckwith, founder of the Agape Spiritual Center in Los Angeles. Tony Coe, the business person. She's number 85 on the Forbes list. We have Jack Canfield, author of Chicken Soup of the Soul. Earl Kosky, the businessman. Brandy Sabella, my ex-wife. All had this amazing experience here and decided to lend their name to this amazing place. Frank Biden, the brother of Joe Biden, to lend their name to this amazing place that these crazy things happen. We get all kinds of people from all walks of life. Some we can talk about and some we can't. We get current athletes, race car drivers, golfers, business people, billionaires. We get a lot of actors and actresses and people from the music business. This week, Yolanda Van Zant is teaching classes at Rythmia. We were expecting Bobby Brown, but he couldn't make it this week. His wife Alicia is here this week, but he'll be here in December, and we'll do a Facebook Live together. So what is that, and I talk about all those kinds of people, and then regular people like you and me. What's my story? I was a dropout, high school dropout. I had behavioral issues my whole juvenile career, and I had gone to jail, not to prison. Never graduated high school, became a millionaire in my 20s, which in the 80s was a lot of money. I took a company public, and I sold a company when I was 42 for right around $90 million. But my life was a wreck, a real wreck, all kinds of problems, a really hard life. And this medicine changed my life. Plant medicine changed my life. And this soul merger that happens to so many thousands of people here happened to me. And what usually happens to folks when they have this happen, when they have this, and this is what I call a soul merger. So they have this miracle in their life where they talk to God and God talks back to them at Rythmia. They have a soul merger. The next thing they want to do is become a beneficial presence on the planet. Why? Because once you understand the full effect of this gift of life that you were given, and you see the magnitude of that gift, you're humbled beyond words to just receive the gift of life. and you want to give something back. How do you do that? You become a beneficial presence on the planet. And that becomes your new ceremony. So your ceremony becomes becoming a beneficial presence on the planet. Now, there are attributes to it that we know about. Depending on how big you want to go, right? It's going to take longer than anything you've ever could imagine. It's going to be harder than anything you've done in the past. And it's going to give you more benefits and those around you more benefits than you could ever imagine. It's going to be greater than any greatness that you could come up with in your mind. Unimaginable kinds of greatness is going to come out of this ceremony of becoming a beneficial presence on the planet. Now, that usually involves mastery. And so for most people, it takes a minimum of 10 years. Some people, it takes 30 years, right? Some businesses, we have business owners here that sold their businesses for billions of dollars, but it took 30 years, right? So Michael Bernard Beckwith, when you see him do a sermon at Agape and you see him talk, that's the culmination of 40 years of doing sermons. That's not, you don't hit flow immediately. Flow happens somewhere between year 5 and year 15, where you get in this flow, where inertia starts carrying you and you get bigger and bigger and bigger, and the buckets aren't big enough to hold the success that you're achieving. That happens in this process. Now, last week I said that this is a system of promises to oneself, not motivation. So when you do this, and this is why it's so important, have the soul merger first. Come to a place like this and have it happen. Then pick how you want to become a beneficial presence, right? It has to go, because when your soul's merged, you're going to pick the thing that allows you to become a beneficial presence from the right side of the menu. And what do I mean by that? Not the side of how is it going to make me look? I'm doing this for my mother or for the neighbors or for some superficial reason. You're going to pick it from a soul merged reason. And that then becomes something bigger than you, that you're willing to surrender your control to this thing. You will be in service to it. And part of that you're not going to rely on motivation, because motivation comes and goes. As a matter of fact, today I'm very unmotivated, but I have promises to keep that I made to myself. So motivation only goes so far. People who rely on motivation fail. You have to rely on promises to yourself. So you make these promises, which are kind of, I'm going to write down these goals. I'm going to explain how I'm going to become a beneficial presence to the planet. I'm going to tithe out of my surplus. I'm going to have a daily practice, and I'm going to get some kind of an agreement for my body, which says I'm going to eat a particular way, drink a particular way, and exercise a little bit. That's kind of the promises that you make, and then you sign that. Now, if your word to you is bigger than your emotions, you're going to win. And that's going to set you on this course, because your goal is written down, how you're going to become a beneficial presence. And now this becomes your ceremony. This becoming that becomes your ceremony. Now, one of the things that I learned on medicine is it's the art of paring things down, simplifying things, and getting rid of things. So I always talk about, in the medicine always talks to me about getting to net zero. What is getting to net zero? Well, like if you're harming yourself and you're harming your business, you can't fix your business with some new trick if you're harming it and you're harming yourself. So to get to net zero first is where I'm not making gains, but I'm not going backwards. In my spiritual life, in my business life, And that usually involves getting rid of things, not getting new things. So if you take a look, that all harm is done out of something, a decision that I've made, something that I'm doing to myself. And so in other words, this is what I mean. Let's say that I get on a new exercise plan, but I'm still eating McDonald's twice a day, and I'm still drinking a big gulp from the 7-Eleven. Well, the first thing I should have done before I got on a new exercising is got myself to net zero, where I'm not eating foods that make my life worse and my goals harder. If I have a business and there's something that I'm doing in my daily practice of running that business that's keeping it from succeeding, the first thing I want to do is eliminate that thing before I add things. So success is more a process of elimination than it is of addition. So if you have this goal, this way of becoming a beneficial presence, but the first thing you want to do is analyze what's keeping you from it. What's keeping you from it? There's something you're doing that's keeping you from it. And the first thing we want to do is get to net zero by eliminating those things that are keeping me from it. So like if I have, and I'm just going to talk, if I have a family member in my business that's ruining my business, and I have all these new ideas about it, but to get to net zero, the first thing I should do is eliminate that person from being in my business. So it takes a critical eye to look at your life in these compartmentalized ways and get to net zero. But from net zero, that's the jumping off point to becoming a beneficial presence. So the elimination of harming of self in whatever of these categories, whether it's food, whether it's your daily practice, your meditation, your prayer, whatever you're doing, the elimination of the thing that's keeping you from doing those things at net zero is what the study is. That's study 1. Study 2 is I'm at net zero. Now, how do I get there? That's 2. What most people do, which is a bypass, and this is in your spiritual life, it's a spiritual bypass. In your business life, it's a business bypass. In your relationship life, it's a relationship bypass. It says that getting a new car is going to fix my marriage, not focusing on where that marriage is thing. That getting a new job is going to fix my spending problem. It doesn't work that way. So the medicine, the one thing that I love about ayahuasca specifically is it's a feminine plant. It's a mother plant, and it talks to you like a mother, sometimes a mad mother. So this reality of what is holding me from being at net zero is 90% of the puzzle to get where I want to go. See, when you eliminate these things that are holding you back and you get to true net zero, the natural progression of inertia is to carry you the rest of the way. It's a natural progression. So success is not so much an addition as it is an elimination. And if you look at things that way and you can be honest with yourself. So a lot of people will say, well, Jerry, that's not having a positive mental attitude. No, it is. It really is. That it's having a factual positive mental attitude, which is I can get anywhere I want once I get to net zero. I can get to anywhere I want. So if I'm working out and eating Twinkies, I don't know if they still make Twinkies in the United States, Twinkies or ring dings or bad candy tarts or whatever, and I'm working out and I can't get there. The easiest thing for me to do is to stop hurting myself. You know, in the Army, they used to have a saying that says, if you're digging a trench and you hit water, stop digging. That's the same thing as saying, let's get to net zero. Let's not say in our spiritual practice that, I don't have the wherewithal internally. I don't have the self-control to do a prayer every day. So instead of that, I'm going to create a new chant. That doesn't fix where the deficiency is. See, that doesn't fix the hitch. The idea is to get to net zero first and add things later, right? That's the idea. The medicine will show you the simplicity of that one idea. So if you can in your life, and if you can compartmentalize and look at the 5 or 6 key parts of your life and look at them honestly and with a real open eye, and then make a determination to get to net zero by eliminating one thing from each category. I guarantee you will get there. And there's freedom at net zero, because now you can choose to go up or go down. When you're in a subpar and you're trying to get back up there by adding new things, it's a forever cycle of failure. So get to net zero. That is the idea and the talk of my talk today, which, by the way, is post-merger action items number 7. And maybe your first step in that is getting to Rythmia. I want you to come here. And if you've been here, I want you to come back, because this is a once a year kind of program for a new you, So please, until next week, God bless you, God keep you, God hold you, and we will see you at Rythmia, and we will be here to talk to you next week. Give what I said this week some